There's a moment early in the first Halo where the shooting stops. The Marines stop yelling, the Covenant are gone, your shield comes back, the music fades out, and for a few seconds the loudest thing in the game is the wind. Maybe there's a warthog nearby, maybe it is upside down already. That part depends on the driver. But then you look up and see the ground curving over your head. Halo hands you an assault rifle, an AI, and an interstellar war. Then it leaves you in a field, looking at a nice waterfall. And I think that field is a bigger part of Halo than we give it credit for. Because when people talk about this series now, the loud stuff usually gets there first. The announcer, the energy sword, the LAN parties, Xbox Live, Mountain Dew, all the cool stuff, all the posters, all the hype. It became the Xbox game, then one of the biggest franchises in gaming. The kind of series with novels, tournaments, television series, anniversary events, and enough lore that ask one innocent question about a glowing light bulb can ruin the rest of your afternoon. But Combat Evolved does not feel like a franchise yet. It feels like landing somewhere nobody understands. That was the version of Halo I met at my friend's house down the street. I wasn't allowed to play it yet, so the whole game had this slightly forbidden feeling. I'd go down there, play until I had to go home, then spend the walk back thinking about the ring in the sky. I didn't know the lore, I barely knew what anybody was talking about. I just knew I wanted to go back. The ring is beautiful, but it is also empty. The buildings are enormous, but nobody's home. Music arrives, does something to your brain, and then leaves before you can get comfortable. Even the game's biggest fights have all this air around them. Combat Evolved feels enormous because it is willing to feel empty. This video is mostly about the original campaign, the first time we landed on the ring before we knew every name, every war, and every ancient person responsible for leaving a dangerous machine unattended. Halo turns 25 this year, and a ground-up remake of the first campaign is releasing at the end of July. It has new missions, more weapons, expanded co-op, rebuilt sound, and a lot more detail. That could be great, but rebuilding the first Halo is a strange job, because the old game is remembered for what it has, while a lot of its atmosphere comes from what it leaves alone. Combat Evolved begins inside the Pillar of Autumn, and by the time you take control, the ship is already coming apart. Alarms are going off, crew members are running past you, Captain Keyes hands you an unloaded pistol, which feels like a small oversight considering the circumstances. You move through the maintenance corridors while the Covenant cut into the ship. Marines are fighting in rooms barely wide enough to hold them. Cortana is talking in your head. The whole level keeps pushing you forward because there's nowhere else to go. Then you get into an escape pod. The screen goes white, and the next time Master Chief wakes up, he is outside. That change is still one of the best things in the game. You go from ceilings, alarms, and cramped metal to grass, cliffs, water, and a blue sky with a ring cutting straight through it. The level is simply called Halo. At first, there's barely anyone around. The escape pod is wrecked, the crew did not make it, Covenant ships are searching the valley, so you move away from the crash and into this huge open landscape. Huge for 2001 anyway. The valley is not really that large by modern standard. You could probably fit it inside one optional side activity in a current open world game. But the size of the map is not what sells it. The Pillar of Autumn boxes you in, then the ring takes the box away. You find a waterfall, cross a bridge. There are these strange towers in the distance, and little blue lights on the ground. The world looks natural until you notice that somebody has been placing enormous pieces of geometry all over it. And above everything is the ring itself. That sky does so much work. You can be standing in a completely ordinary patch of grass, then look up and remember that this is not a planet. The land keeps going overhead until it disappears behind you. Day and night, forest and snow, every outdoor space is trapped inside the same impossible object. The game never needs to stop and remind you where you are. The horizon does it for you. Halo has trees, beaches, caves, snow, streams, and weather. It also has doors large enough to make Master Chief look like a toddler at an NBA game. From a distance, the ring can look peaceful. Up close, it becomes deeply suspicious. Forerunner structures are simple, dark, and far too large for the people walking through them. They use broad ramps, severe angles, bridges hanging over drops, and doors that open like the building has finally decided to acknowledge you. There are control panels, but they do not look friendly. The glowing symbols tell you somebody built all this with a plan. The game gives these places history without explaining all of it. That is harder to do now because Halo has nearly 25 years of answers attached to it. There are names for every civilization, machine, war, and suspicious hallway. People have written books about the people who built the thing you are standing on. Combat Evolved gets to meet the architecture before the encyclopedia does. The player knows what Chief knows. This place is old, it is powerful, and the Covenant seem to care about it. That is enough. The original graphics helped more than I expected. They are obviously old, the ground textures are not going to fool you, but the low detail keeps the big shapes readable. Our Forerunner room can be a dark wall, a strip of light, and one giant door. The landscape can be green grass, gray rock, and the ring against a clean blue sky. Your eye is never fighting 50 pipes, sparks, and a little hologram explaining the pipe economy. This place has room to look old. And because the architecture is so severe, the natural parts feel softer. A beach matters more next to a bunker. Snow feels colder when the next room is a silent underground bridge over nothing. The ring is never only scenery, and never only machinery. It keeps switching between the two, and you never feel completely safe in either one. The first sound most people associate with Halo is not a gun, it is the chant. For the game's 1999 Macworld demonstration, Joe Staten gave composer Marty O'Donnell 3 words for the mood: ancient, mysterious, and epic. O'Donnell answered with monks, percussion, and orchestra, which is a strange solution for a game about green space soldiers fighting aliens. The military part of Halo already has guns, radio, marines, and the Pillar of Autumn. The chant belongs to the ring. It makes the game feel older than the war happening on top of it. And the soundtrack keeps moving between those two sides. There are pounding drums when the game wants you moving, then low strings and strange voices when it wants the room to feel wrong. A big melodic piece can turn a vehicle section into the coolest thing you've done all afternoon. But the music does not wallpaper the level. It visits. A cue comes in when you cross a threshold or when a fight changes shape. Then it finishes and hands the space back to the game. You hear wind in the valleys, water near the cliffs, the low electrical hum of Forerunner machinery. Covenant equipment has its own slippery alien noise. Marty O'Donnell has said the ambient audio was there to keep you inside the world without you noticing it. A room does not need a song playing over it to have a mood. It needs enough sound to convince you the room continues when you stop moving. Combat Evolved is quiet in that sense. It is almost never dead silent, it just knows the difference between sound and attention. The ambience keeps the ring alive without constantly asking to be noticed. Then, when the chant or the strings return, they feel like an event. I think modern games are sometimes afraid of that gap. If the music stops, somebody might get bored. If a character goes 10 seconds without talking, maybe the player will forget there is a plot. Halo trusts the hum. It lets you walk. And because it does, the music still feels enormous when it comes back. None of this works if the combat is boring. Combat Evolved is not secretly a walking simulator of a very aggressive box cover. The shooting is the thing holding everything together. The enemies react, dodge, panic, throw grenades, and yell at each other. Elites push the fight around. Grunts can be brave for almost several seconds. Jackals put up shields and become a small personal argument about where the bullets should go. The weapons all change the shape of the encounter. You can only carry 2. So picking up a rocket launcher means leaving something behind. Plasma strips shields, human bullets finish the job, grenades bounce just enough to make every throw feel confident until it's not. And then there's the Warthog. The Warthog is less of a vehicle and more a group decision. It lets you cross those big landscapes quickly, but it also makes the space playful. Hills become ramps, marines become a crew, and a narrow bridge becomes a test of whether anybody in the vehicle has made peace with the outcome. Halo's fights feel good because the systems are simple and the spaces are generous. You can approach from different directions, retreat behind a rock, and let the shield return. Take the high ground, steal a ghost, bring marines with you, or drive directly into a group of enemies because the horn gave you false confidence. Then the encounter ends. The bodies stay where they fell, weapons are scattered around, the Warthog engine idles, maybe one surviving marine says something stupid, and then the level becomes a place again. Quiet resets your ears so the next plasma grenade feels loud. If I had to show somebody one level to explain the entire feeling of Combat Evolved, it would be the Silent Cartographer. The mission starts in a pelican over open water. 2 dropships come in, low toward an island. Marines are checking their weapons. The music starts building. You can see the beach getting closer through the open back of the ship. Then everybody jumps out, and the level becomes a full beach assault. It is loud, immediate, and a little messy. Covenant fire is coming from the sand. Marines spread out. The pelicans lift away behind you. For a few minutes, Halo looks exactly like the giant action game people remember. Then you win the beach. The ocean keeps moving, the island is still there. You get a warthog, you start driving around the edge. Past trees, cliffs, and pieces of Forerunner architecture built into the land. The route loops around the island. You can stop at different enemy positions, find a crashed pelican, or take flights from whatever direction makes sense. The mission has an objective, but the island does not feel like a hallway connecting you to it. It feels like a location. Eventually, the level sends you underground. The sunlight disappears. The rooms become colder, darker, and more geometric. Ramps descend into the island. Bridges cross open interior spaces. You keep going down toward a map room that can reveal the location of Halo's control center. Up on the beach, the ring looks like a landscape. Down here, it is very clearly a machine. Marcus Leto has said the Forerunner visual language really came together while working on this level. That makes sense. You spend the first half driving around a sunny island, and then Halo shuts the door behind you and sends you down into the machine. Even the name is perfect. The Silent Cartographer sounds important and completely unhelpful. It is a map room, but calling it that would apparently damage the ancient mystery budget. This is Halo before the universe has become familiar. The game can put one enormous locked door in the side of an island, and the fact that you do not know what is behind the door is enough to pull you across the beach. Campain Evolved spends its first half teaching you how to enjoy an empty place. Then it puts something in it. The mission, 343 Guilty Spark, begins in a swamp. It is raining. Fog hangs between the trees. The dropship leaves, and the usual sense of arrival feels different immediately. The Covenant are here, but the positions are wrong. There are signs of a fight, but no fight. You move deeper into the swamp and find a Marine who has completely lost it. The game has spent hours making Covenant patrols readable. By now you know the sound of a grunt, the shape of an elite across a room, the way a normal firefight is arranged. Nothing here is arranged. Inside the facility, the doors and corridors are familiar, Forerunner shapes. But the mood has changed. There are bodies, barricades, blood. Rooms that look like something moved through them too quickly. Then Chief finds a recording from a Marine helmet. You watch Captain Keyes and his squad enter the same facility. They hear movement, something small appears, the recording falls apart, and now you are standing where they were. The flood reveal works because Halo does not treat it like another enemy introduction. There's no tutorial explaining the new faction. The game lets confusion arrive first. Infection forms pour into the room. Shapes that used to be Marines and Covenants start running at you. That neat little combat triangle you understood is suddenly covered in legs. The ring is not an abandoned monument anymore. It is a containment. That changes every quiet room you already walked through. Before the flood, an empty hallway suggests age. After the flood, it suggests something has moved on. The game taught you to look across a landscape and wonder what was there. Now you are checking the fog because you do not want that answer. And the music changes with it. The low voices and percussion become nervous. Ambient sounds that once made the ring feel alive now make the wheels feel occupied. I should be fair to the game before I turn every empty room into a sacred act of restraint. Campain Evolved repeats itself a lot. There are rooms in this campaign that come back often enough to qualify for a loyalty program. The library is the obvious example. It sends you through long Forerunner corridors while Guilty Spark floats ahead. The flood keep arriving and every floor offers the thrilling discovery of another floor. The level has mood. It is oppressive, exhausting, and very committed to both of those words. But there is a point where oppressive architecture becomes a hallway you are tired of looking at. The second half of the campaign also sends you back through places you've already visited. 2 Portrayals reverses much of Assault on the Control Room. Keyes returns to the Covenant ship from Truth and Reconciliation. The Maw takes you back to the Pillar of Autumn. Sometimes the reuse is powerful. Pillar of Autumn in the final mission is torn open and burning. Returning there makes the whole campaign feel like it had closed a loop. Sometimes the reuse is a door opening onto the room you just left. Bungie developers have been honest about why. The planned campaign was too large for what they had. Some environments were reused, reversed, and modified to get the game shipped. Some of Halo's emptiness is composition, some of it is hardware, and some of it is schedule, and a team staring at a board full of levels they could not possibly finish. I do not think admitting that hurts the atmosphere. Constraints do not make good art automatically. Plenty of games had fog and repeated walls. Most of them did not turn that into Halo. Combat Evolved gets a lot of atmosphere out of those limitations. Returning to a damaged space can work, and long quiet drive can make the ring feel larger than the map. But when the trick stops working, you get the library. We can love the game and still know which hallway we are talking about. Combat Evolved Anniversary includes one of the most useful buttons in any remaster. You can switch between updated presentation and the original graphics while you are playing. Same game, same room, same movement, different feeling. The Anniversary version is doing an impressive technical trick. It adds detailed surfaces, new models, denser vegetation, richer effect, and lighting that would have been impossible on the original Xbox. There are outdoor spaces where it looks beautiful, but I still prefer the original look for a lot of the campaign, especially the Forerunner interiors and 343 Guilty Spark. The darker rooms in the original make the flashlight matter, fog hides the edge of the swamp, broad walls and simple pools of light make the architecture feel severe. The updated version often gives you more to see, but more detail can make a dark room feel less dark, and sometimes that is the part I wanted to keep. And I do not mean that as an easy argument where every old pixel is holy because I saw it on some old TV back in the day. Atmosphere lives in choices. How dark the corner is, where the color sits, how much detail the eye has to process, whether the shape reads from across the room. Remaking a game is not tracing it with a more expensive pencil. You have to decide what every old limitation was doing. Combat Evolved was already a huge success. I do not want to pretend it was a private little art game somebody found behind the Xbox launch lineup. It helped define the console immediately. But Halo 2 is where the series starts to feel like the public version of Halo we know now. The story gets bigger, Earth is part of the war, the Covenant has politics, profits, and the Arbiter. Xbox Live turns multiplayer from something happening around one television into somewhere people go every night. Before launch, Halo 2 had more than 1.5 million pre-orders in the United States. Microsoft reported $125 million in sales in the first 24 hours. That is no longer a strange ring game showing up with a new console. That is an event. Then Halo 3 arrives with Finish the Fight, live action commercials, a global launch, Forge, theater, an entire generation making maps that began as creative projects and end up somebody spawning too many tanks. Halo became social in a way Combat Evolved's campaign usually is not. The giant version of Halo created its own kind of magic. Playing campaign co-op, staying up too late in matchmaking, watching the Halo 3 menu sit there while music plays. Those memories are real too. The later games never lose quiet completely. Halo 3 still has lonely stretches. ODST builds an entire game around walking through a city at night, with jazz and rain. Reach knows when to let a landscape sit after something terrible happens. Infinite clearly wants the ring and the Pacific Northwest feeling back. But Combat Evolved owns a kind of mystery the sequels cannot fully recover. It is the first encounter. You do not have a relationship with Master Chief yet, and the ring comes with no familiar history. The Covenant have not hardened into lore, the Flood are not sitting on the back of the box in your head. Nobody knows what Halo is. That ignorance is part of the atmosphere. Halo Campaign Evolved has a difficult job. The official pitch talks about preserving the wonder and mystery of the original while rebuilding the campaign with modern visuals, new missions, more weapons and vehicles, and 4-player co-op. But the first Halo did not become memorable by filling every space it had. It gave the ring distance and let the music end. A dark room could stay dark while a machine hum carried the mood. Long stretches of landscape sat between the fights, giving the player time to stop seeing the Halo as a series of encounters and start seeing it as a place. Then it used the trust to make the place frightening. That is what I hope survives. Not every repeated hallway. We can lose a hallway. The ring will understand. I mean the rhythm around it. The pause after a fight, when the last plasma bolt is gone, the shield has come back, and there's nothing urgent on the screen. You walk out from behind a rock, the warthog is parked badly nearby, water is moving somewhere below you, a Forerunner structure is sitting in the distance, offering no useful explanation itself, and over your head, the world keeps curving upwards. For a few seconds, Halo is not asking you to finish a fight. It is letting you wonder where you are. Before Halo became something everyone knew, it was a place nobody understood. I miss that place. That's all for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. I noticed a lot of you aren't subscribed, and it really means a lot and helps me out if you do. And let me know which part of Halo is your favorite. Was it 1, 2, 3, ODST? I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Bye.